Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pula. We have an incredible guest on this show today, and she is in the incredible movie as well with Dr. Joe Vitale, the incredible Lisa Schermerhorn. So I'm really looking forward to a conversation with Lisa. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're on the E360 TV network, on Android, Fire, Roku, Amazon, Apple, and many more. We're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. We're also on USA Global Radio and Television Network, and we're also on mspnewsglobal.com. Let's bring in our incredible guest, Lisa Schermerhorn. Welcome, Lisa, to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation. We've got a lot to get through today, Lisa, so let's start our incredible conversation. Your unique coaching approach. Many people have tried traditional coaching without lasting results. How is your coaching approach different, and what makes it so effective for people who feel stuck despite doing all the right things? Good question there.
Yeah, that is a great question. What I tell people is we need to get to the root cause. And sometimes and oftentimes the root cause is unconscious. It's a programming, it's a belief that came in when we were young and we don't have access to it. People will go to therapy and talk to coaches about things that are going on currently in their life. But oftentimes the thing that I hear from people is, I would never have connected that fear or that resistance or whatever it is back to something that happened when I was 2 years old. And that's one of the reasons why I love what I do so much, is that everyone has the answers inside of them. And so I'm just asking the questions, and we're going into the subconscious mind where all answers are.
That's really interesting. I know belief work is so important, Lisa. I've had to work on a lot of my belief system and mindset, and it's an ongoing journey as well. It's not something that you just stop doing. It's something you have to do consistently, isn't it, Lisa?
Totally. And you know, I grew up with learning disabilities, but they were undiagnosed. So I went from every summer going to summer school. I remember being in kindergarten and everyone was reading and I couldn't read yet. So I grew up with this belief that I wasn't smart. And because of that, I really kind of gave up on things. And at one point I became suicidal for a number of reasons. And as I started to uncover the belief systems that I had, I realized that, I thought that I was stupid. I thought that I could never accomplish anything. I thought I was worthless. So as I started to uncover those beliefs, suddenly I realized I'm actually smart. And I started overcompensating by studying. And you should see the stack of certifications that I ended up getting.
Yes, there's been a few thoughts for me that were really more persistent and harder to release, but it's quite nice when when they're releasing, because you can still have the thought but the belief has completely gone. Right. That's when this is on the way out now, because you can look at it and even say, nice try, brain, not today. That kind of attitude.
That's exactly right. And what I help people do is actually get into the present moment and remove the emotion that's attached to it. Because you can't change what happened, but you can change the way you feel about it. And when you release the emotion that's related to an episode that may have happened when you were 5 years old, and it's your 5-year-old part of you that's reacting to it, when you heal that, you then can see it from the adult point of view, the adult perspective, and then it doesn't feel so huge anymore.
I hear you. Very, very important work. You've turned personal struggles into mission to help others heal and thrive. What inspired you to dedicate your life to this work, and what keeps you so passionate about helping people uncover their truth?
Yeah. So as I touched on, a few minutes ago, I went through a period in my late 30s where I became suicidal. I just did not want to be here anymore. And I went from therapist to therapist, and no one was able to help me. And sometimes 2 and 3 times a week. I knew I wasn't going to do anything, but I couldn't break that cycle and that heaviness that I was waking up to every day. Someone suggested a hypnotherapist, and I was like, a hypno what? Because I thought they made people quack like a duck. And what I realized, there's a separate technique. There's stage hypnotism, and then there's therapeutic hypnosis. And I went on to go see someone who changed my life. And I went on to study the unconscious mind through hypnosis. I also studied NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, and a number of techniques that helped me. And I decided that I wanted to be the person that I was looking for 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So it was all about learning techniques that people could access easily and release, and then get on with their life. Because I didn't want someone to have to, struggle for 20 years, 25 years with the same thing and going and talking about the same thing. And what I love about my work is that it shifts people quickly.
So do you use hypnosis, Lisa?
So in certain cases, yes. It's kind of like a guided meditation. And then I ask someone's higher self to give me the answers. Or I'll use techniques in Neuro Linguistic Programming, NLP, other things around forgiveness work. It's amazing how difficult it is to live your life when you don't forgive certain people and circumstances, because we carry that weight. So there's many different situational techniques that I use that people can do themselves. But yes, the most powerful one is working with the unconscious mind.
Oh, yes. I used to do a lot of other people's hypnosis. You wouldn't believe how much hypnosis I've actually done, Lisa. Like, I have done a hell of a lot of hypnosis. I've got a whole folder in my drive just full of downloads of different hypnosises. But I've got to the point now where I've stopped using other people's. I put myself into a really, really relaxed state. And then I have inner conversations with myself. And if I've got beliefs, I'll work on my own beliefs while I'm in a really, really relaxed state. Because I like to know it's me doing it now. But that's because of how much I know about hypnosis and getting into that really relaxed state.
Right. That's a great amount of self-awareness. So you've done a lot of work on yourself, and it is easy. I mean, I teach people to do self-hypnosis. You just, it's an easy thing to do, and you can condition yourself to access what you want. And I'm a firm believer in manifestation. And so whatever you focus on is what you create. And these days I find myself really manifesting almost instantly, often. And the more I've cleared, the more I believe in myself, the more appears. Such as my book suddenly becoming international bestseller out of nowhere. It had been a bestseller. Thank you. It had been a bestseller for 2 years. And then all of a sudden I got notified by a friend that it had reached international bestseller. And
I
so
believe
that
in
was really cool.
manifestation too.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a big, big believer in it. You're certified in quantum healing and have helped many people experience deep transformation. Can you share what quantum healing is and how it helps people on a physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual level? So
without getting into quantum physics, it's really about...
I love quantum physics.
Yes, I do too. But I don't want to bore your audience. But we could get into the idea that we are all connected. And so I go into a trance state. I go into this very relaxed state. And then I go and I imagine that I'm actually with someone. And I start to, imagine that they're healing, but I also see their guides, and I see all kinds of angels, Archangel Michael, all of these angels come in, and I become kind of the observer. And what I'm doing is raising the frequency and vibration of someone for them to heal themselves, because I'm a firm believer that we can all heal ourselves. You have to have the right mindset. And sometimes we have emotional stuff that has to be released in order for you to heal at the physical level. So this allows a lot of the blocks to leave. And what happened was, it was very anecdotal, where people were just saying, I'm feeling better. I asked, how can I prove this? So I started working with people who do something called dark field microscopy. It's live blood that they're looking at on the screen. And I would have people have their blood checked beforehand. And in most cases, people's blood looked like, it's called rouleau, where they're stacked and sticky and coming together. And then we do the healing, and then afterwards recheck, and then people's blood looked normal. And people were feeling better. I had a friend of mine who went through 13 rounds of chemotherapy, and she had become anemic. And we did the healing on her before and after. So we checked her blood before and after the healing. And before, she barely had any red blood cells. And after the healing, her blood levels almost resumed to normal. So this has helped many people and animals. I invite people to bring their dogs or their cats or any other animals into the room when we do this work. And it's been life-changing for a lot of people.
I totally see how it all is so powerful. Like when you've got like people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden as well, they all approve of this quantum healing and quantum field, that energy outside of us that heals us. And I just love it all. And I just think it should be more mainstream, because I think if there was something more mainstream, it would give people that more belief in it as well, because some people still see it as a woohoo. And it's like, when you are in this and you study it, you think this has to be true. This is how it works.
No, it's true. And I've actually worked with doctors on this and I'm writing a book about it. And I had some doctors on the Pacific Northwest bring in 15 people, and they all checked their blood, every single one of them. We did the healing as a group, and then they checked their blood right after. Now, with the dark field microscopy, one of the things they do is they can look at the live blood as it's still swimming around, and then they do something called dried blood analysis. And it works almost like if you look at rings on a tree, you can go back and see the history and tell what had happened to that tree in its life. The same thing with the dried blood. I am not a licensed medical professional, so I can't tell you how it works. But what I will tell you is there was one gentleman who was showing prostate issues in 3 out of the 4 layers in the dried blood. And after the healing, it wasn't there at all. So it was quantum. If you go by quantum, there's no such thing as time, right? So the healing went back in time and healed it in him as if he never had it. Powerful stuff. Let's take a little commercial break here, Lisa. We'll be back in 1 second.
Feeling held back? Dreaming bigger? Mark Stephen Pooler and Brilliance Business present Unshakable Confidence and Decisive Action. 2 powerful audio tracks designed to reprogram your mind for unwavering confidence and decisive action. Get guided visualizations and subliminal affirmations to ignite your inner strength, actively and passively. Stop doubting. Start doing. Visit store.contactmark.me now. That's store.contactmark.me. Unlock your potential today.
Lisa, coaching. You're a certified why coach. What exactly is why coaching, and how does discovering your why create a powerful shift in someone's personal or professional life?
The why coaching is one of my favorite things that I do besides the quantum healing. And what happened for me is I was doing a marketing event, and there was a woman running the event who asked me if I wanted to find out my why. And so I took this 10-minute assessment, and it told me that my why was challenge. And what that meant was I challenge conventional thinking and think outside the box. Well, that's what entrepreneurs do, and I'm a visionary. So for me, what that did was, instead of feeling like an outsider, like I never fit in, because I never wanted to fit in, and neither do most entrepreneurs. So finding that out about myself was like, it was like the thing that clicked in and said, oh my God, I am living what I do, the outside of the box work. Now we figure out people's why, their how, and their what. We call it the why operating system. So this is through the Why Institute, and Dr. Gary Sanchez had seen the book, had read the book, Start With Why. And he was like, oh my gosh, I want to know why people, what their why is. So he went in to interview 9 different people, because he went to see Simon Sinek, who wrote that book. And Simon said, I don't help people discover their why. I help them understand why it's important. So out of the 9 whys, so my why is challenge. My how is better way. I help people find a better way. And what I ultimately bring is the ability to make sense out of complicated situations and problems. So I'm an out-of-the-box problem solver. And then you can use that for your branding. You can use that for when you speak. It's powerful because it's the emotional part of you. And I started to relate it to how I buy my cars, because I always like something different. How I go on vacation. Everything has to be different. And that brings me joy. And so there's contributors, people who love to be of service to others. There are simplifiers, people who take large amounts of information and break it down into 3 bullet points. I'm always amazed at them, and they tend to be very organized. So depending upon what your why is, you can better relate to your teams, because you know how to speak to that person. So there's right way people, and they're very much inside the box, but they create systems and processes that are repeatable. Now, I don't like doing that, but I appreciate it because I need that in my life. So now I understand that as a challenge, when I'm talking to a right way person, I understand why they do what they do, how they think. So I appreciate them instead of thinking that they're trying to aggravate me. And there's a lot of like mastery, or people who love to do deep research. Simplifiers, that's too much information. When they're working together, when they understand that for a mastery person needs to just present a few bullet points, and if they need more information, they'll go back to the mastery person. So it's a really beautiful way of learning to work together in your team and in your family.
Important stuff. Always know the why. Definitely. Now, this is what I'm excited about. Zero Limits with the incredible Dr. Joe Vitale. I'm doing a big collaboration. I've interviewed him. That's coming out very, very soon. That's a really good interview coming out with the incredible Dr. Joe Vitale. And you're part of my amazing collaboration as well with the amazing Dr. Joe. You were featured in the award-winning film Zero Limits alongside the incredible Dr. Joe Vitale. What was that experience like, and how does the message of the film align with the work you do today?
Well, it was so interesting because He talks about in the movie something called Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian basically phrase. It's about forgiveness. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And what happened was I had been trying to write a book for 15 years. I was asked to go into a Ho'oponopono group that was meeting weekly, and I was learning how to release all these blocks and forgive. Because and when I did that, it released in me all of this information. I went from being blocked to writing to suddenly the title of the book, "In Every Belief is a Lie," came to me, and suddenly in 5 months I had the book written and it went to bestseller. Right after I finished that book, I received an email asking me if I wanted to participate in this movie. And at first I thought it was a scam. So I had to do all kinds of research to make sure that it was the real deal. And once I did, it was a no-brainer because I had just experienced this amazing thing using the techniques that were talked about by Joe Vitale and his book, and I had read his book, Zero Limits. And it was amazing, and I got to film it at my house in Vermont and showing the scenic beauty of the area. And I've met these incredible other people who are part of this feature film, and it's a movement. And you know, the Ho'oponopono is quantum when you think about it, because you're shifting and changing the way you think, and then you're suddenly manifesting what you want. And by doing these techniques that we learned, and you hear these people's stories about how it changed their lives and how they're living their life. And I started saying yes to everything and surrendering. And I went to Mexico on the idea last February that I was going for 1 week. And someone asked me if I was willing to stay. And I did. And 3 months later, I had the time of my life. And I never knew week to week where I was going to be staying. And it always showed up. And there were beautiful places on the ocean, looking at whales. And so I invite people to really look at their lives and what's holding you back from achieving what you really want. Because I went from being suicidal and not wanting to be here to living the most amazing life I could have ever imagined. And it was a lot of work, but it's also been one of the greatest gifts I could have ever given myself.
I love it. And I know there's some great people involved in Zero Limits, the incredible movie. Lisa, how can people connect with you? I know they can go to lisamindset.com. That's lisamindset.com. That's a nice website address. Very easy to remember, lisamindset.com. Who should connect with you? And if people want more information on the movie as well?
Yeah, they can reach me, through my website, or it used to be Lisa Schermerhorn Coaching. And then I got the idea that people couldn't spell Schermerhorn because it took me a year to figure that out as well. I also have a YouTube channel, Lisa Schermerhorn Coaching, and there's some videos and some great information and some interviews there. But primarily you can reach me through my website, and I like to get back to people, as soon as I can. And I offer a free 20-minute consultation where I can help people deal with the emotional part, the mental part of what is holding them back. And sometimes that's related to physical illnesses and ailments. So they can be directly related, as well as doing this quantum healing that has been helping so many people. And it's a really, really amazing, it's amazing type of work that's come together. And I'm very proud of where this is all going. So
I would encourage everyone out there who needs someone like Lisa in their life to go to lisamindset.com. Lisa, I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being my guest on Brilliance Business TV.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Brilliance.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.